Hey, Jared.
Hey, Josh.
What's a writer's favorite type of exercise?
Some kind of hand workout. Those stress balls.
That's a good guess. Good guess. No, it's jumping to conclusions.
Oh, that too.
They make mats for that too, you know.
They do. Name that reference.
Yeah. What movie is that from?
Comment below.
Mm-hmm. Hey, welcome back to Screen Time Film, a podcast where we cover a director's filmography from start to finish. Currently, we are at the tail end of Francis Ford Coppola's films. Today, we are discussing Twixt. I guess how you say it? Like, how do you?
I guess Twixt.
Yeah, Twixt. You got to add the extra T in there.
Twixt. Yes.
But Jared, people always ask me, how do you know so much about witches? And I tell them, because I married one.
Oh, dang.
So
I don't remember that line, actually. But
so my name's Josh, and this is my co-host, Jared.
you can't change time, Josh. Time changes you.
Oh, yeah. I also wrote down, keeping track of time around here is pointless.
That was my other one.
Yeah.
But I put keeping track of time with this podcast around here is pointless.
True. All right, so Twixt. I guess we should have looked up this how this film's title is.
The pronunciation.
Do you say the T at the end? Do you not?
I don't know.
Does it have a?
They don't say it in the movie.
A caramel nugget in the center.
Yeah, it could be pronounced that same way.
Yeah, Twix. All right, but this film came out in 2011, rated R, an hour and 28 minutes.
Good length.
Yeah. I was like, wow, Coppola knows how to do something under 2 hours.
Surprisingly.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
A struggling horror writer visiting a small town on a book tour gets caught up in a murder mystery involving a young girl. That night, in a dream, he is approached by a mysterious young ghost named V. So this film was directed and written by Francis Ford Coppola. Our cinematographer is the guy that's been with us the last couple.
Yes.
Mahai Malamer. I don't know. We still don't know how to say his name. Junior.
Yep.
And then music by Oswald. Last name G.
Osvaldo G.
Osvaldo G.
There you go.
Who also has been in the last couple of films.
Yep. Yeah, these are both in the final film as well.
Yeah. So production costs, what do you think?
I'm going to shoot real low because this movie looked like there was no budget. Let's say, actually, let's keep it the same as Youth Without Youth. I think that was 5 or 4 million. Let's say 5 million.
Close. 7 million.
Okay.
Yes, this film was more expensive than the last two.
Yeah, well, no, not The Rain. Yeah, definitely more than... Oh, sorry, I'm forgetting Tetro also. Yeah, right, you're right.
Yes.
Wow,
okay. Youth Without Youth and
Tetro
were both 5 million. Both looked 10 times better than this film.
I would say more than 10 times better. Oh, man.
All right, so no awards. Well, Academy Awards.
Okay.
Nominations or anything. All right, our cast here. We've got Val Kilmer, Bruce Dern, Elle Fanning, Ben Chaplin, Joan Wally, David Palmer, Anthony Fusco, Alden Ehrenreich, and then John Watts.
Oh.
He was the voiceover.
Was he?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's got to get him in there somewhere. He's been in every freaking film.
Tom Waits.
Oh, Tom Waits, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that didn't sound like him though this time to me.
I said it wrong.
Yeah. because he has a very distinct voice, but did not realize that was him doing the narration.
All right, so yeah, overall thoughts.
Another one we both have never seen before
Or heard of.
Don't even know how to pronounce
The title.
the proper. Yeah. Oh man, I don't know where to start with this. This is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange film in general. Heavily stylized, which was cool at points and not cool at points. I would say overall the acting in this was weird and not good. And we know there are good actors in this. So that was strange also. I think this has to be one of the lowest points in Coppola's filmography career. And the movie sucked.
Yeah.
That's my overall thoughts.
Okay. I can't. I say I pretty much agree with what you said. Yeah, pretty bad writing.
Yeah.
Like story. Just like you said, like these actors who, you know, some of these are great actors. And for them to just seem so flat and blah in this
that has to be a directing thing, then,
100%.
right?
It's got to be what he was going for and where he steered them. Also, being it's the same cinematographer,
crazy.
Tetro was like so pretty, and then this, and then they're definitely. It was definitely a intentional choice, and yet, like it looks really bad, like lighting wise.
Just looked very low budget overall.
When I first started watching, I was like, "Did they film this with an iPhone?"
Right,
because it was like
a 2011 iPhone.
Yes. And then I'm like, "Well, no, it probably wasn't." And then I was like, you know, really, even if good lighting done right, even on an iPhone would look decent, better than this. So,
right.
I think it's more
even an iPhone from then.
Yeah, I think it was more a choice. Oh, I know it is because I didn't. I mean, we can talk about it now, but I looked up and they literally used the same camera. I couldn't find out what lenses they used on this, but they literally used the same Sony, you know, cinema camera
as the last two films.
That's
crazy.
Same cinematographers, same cameras. They couldn't find what lenses they used on this, so that can make a difference if you're not using, you know, and they use like some weird, like almost like a, I don't know, like some kind of glass that's not like actual cinema lenses. But
besides, like you saying, there was poor lighting, but even besides that, to have it look this bad and low budget with those same cameras, whatever lens you're using also, it's like, I don't know how it could look like this.
Well, like I said, it had to be an intentional choice. That's all it boils down to. It had to be
which is even worse than if that's like he wanted it to look like this.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it harkens back to some of the older stuff he did.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what he was trying to go for. He wanted to, even though it's not film, he was trying to recreate the look he had on some of the, because I mean, again,
but
some
all
of the lighting,
those looked better than this.
Well, because it was film.
Yeah,
that does make a difference. And a lot of times you're hiding the sharpness of like a digital camera, like you know, filters you put on the lenses, really, you know, softening the lighting and everything helps hide some of that. And then it's like they didn't even try. They were like almost like, let's try to make it look. That's why I said it looked like it was shot on a phone, because it felt like that very digitally.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. It's just. I'm glad the length of the film was what it was.
Yes. Yep.
But man, yeah, just so many
But yeah,
so many problems. Yeah.
yeah, like it's so weird because it
So you agree with the acting also, though? Being
yeah, Val Kilmer, yeah, it was like there was a few moments where Elle Fanning, I think, kind of started to shine a little bit,
yeah,
and like I was like, oh, there's some life here in the acting. But
yeah. And this was more early on in her
career, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's way bigger now.
Yes, but yeah, but overall it was just rough, and like you said, like it had to be intentional because that's,
I guess.
yeah, well, like intentional from the director to steer things that way, because it doesn't, yeah, because all these people, including the director and the cinematographer, all these people, we've seen them do stuff that's great, and
Yes.
so yeah, that's all you can say about that.
Well, I don't have that many notes even. It's more just like different things that just left me confused, honestly.
Well, I mean, I have some notes, but
Okay.
so I mean, so there was different themes. Like, we can talk about some of the themes that he's trying to do in this, right?
Yeah.
So like they're constantly blurring the reality and fantasy.
Yes.
Like they definitely blurred the lines there. But also put a note: how many times did Val Kilmer get hit on the head, right? Or like fall or whatever, like hit his head. Like it's just like,
yeah, you're right. That did happen
several times
frequently. Yeah.
to get like him to be in the dream state and kind of So
I think I had a note about this somewhere where, or maybe it was in cinematography, but you're right. It definitely had like not just the dreamscape type of feel, but I can't remember what word you used, but it had kind of like a fairy tale type feel to it in some ways.
Yeah, well, reality and fantasy, but I just
fantasy,
said,
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so like the way they kind of either put a filter to something in post to kind of bloom the people that were in when he was in the fantasy realm or the dream realm, whatever you want to call it. They would kind of have this like kind of aura around them, and
yeah, but even the bloom like look, like I love that look, even in, because it's done a lot, especially in video games too. And I think it looks great, but like this did not look good. So even the way they executed that was, I don't know what it was about it, but it just looked like something from like the 80s where it'd be like an outline, kind of like, let's say like a Force Ghost, you know, which that was more like the limitation I imagined at the time.
right.
Was kind of like the outline glowing. Like that's what it reminded me of, but honestly, that even I think looked better in Star Wars.
Probably in the 1980s.
Right. But that's what it reminded me a little bit of, that kind of thing.
Correct. And then, so it was kind of weird. And then I think we've talked about this before, but on the last one, they mixed the black and white, but again, mixing black and white with color, like he did in Rumblefish, and having little accents of color in the black and white. It's like this guy, I mean, I feel like this guy, it's like I don't know, it's not really a one trick pony, but it's like, that's not the right term. It's like Coppola kind of has these couple base ideas that he just
keeps going back
wrestle
to
with, I guess. He never, and it's like it's like one of those things where as an artist, I guess he never feels like he fully expresses it. So, and so he just keeps trying. And he'll do a film, and then he'll do another film that kind of have some of the same thematic elements. And it's like, I assume as an artist, he still never feels like it's quite been able to express himself in the right way to like satisfy that. And so that he just keeps doing it again and doing it again.
Yeah. It still looked weird, and you're right with this movie too, the way they added like that little bit of color. But I thought it was a cool idea Like that was one positive, like with the, I don't know, the specific colors in this film anyway, but then adding in those very stark contrast reds. Like that's a cool idea. It still felt weird at times in this, but I like that concept at least. But it's like almost in a lot of different ways in this movie, it's not executed well.
Correct. I feel like so cliche to have a struggling writer.
Yes.
But also I feel like that's another thing he's wrestled with. Like, I mean, even the last film, why am I drawing a blank? Tetro,
yeah.
Another struggling writer. And I feel like I'm trying to think of other ones, but I feel like it's been a theme he's used often in the decades.
I think there's at least one more.
Yeah.
I want to say, yeah.
So, and I don't know if that's because, he feels that, like because half the stuff he writes, the films, he writes the scripts, and
yeah.
So it's like,
we've talked about also, he's written other things that he hasn't directed either.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them seem to be pretty successful. So I don't know how much he really actually struggles with that or not.
Right.
I guess it's a theme he likes to tackle a lot. I don't know.
But then I was thinking of the Coen brothers even tackled it in the one film too.
Barton Fink.
Yep.
That one was great though. Like that was
that was a much better film than some of these. But
yeah, that was like that was kind of, which Coppola has a few, now that we've gone through most of his movies, a few hidden gems.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much Barton Fink is a hidden gem though. Like I don't know how popular that movie is, but that was one of the ones that we were very
pleasantly surprised. Yeah.
I guess A Serious Man though was like, I think that was one of the biggest that like we both were really into.
And what was the one that the toy maker company?
Yes, I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because we were thinking about that in relation to the Coppola movie about the cars that we did semi-recently.
That also was that was a good one.
Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah,
that's what it was called.
Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, which also was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. This is just, because I think we talked about probably last time or during the Youth Without Youth film, we were talking about how like these last 4 movies, he takes a big break, 10 years, and then does these last 4. And definitely seems more experimental in general.
When they're the ones that are self-funded.
Right, yeah. On the wine.
Well, I assume this one is as well.
Probably.
We haven't looked that up, but so far they have been, and I know Megalopolis was.
Yeah. That was also, yeah.
So I assume this one probably is too. And then he allows him to do whatever the heck he wants because he's self-funding it. So he doesn't know, he has no studio heads to like be like, no, it needs to be more mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool for him. Like he has complete creative freedom, but it's just interesting that he wants to be this, I don't know, abstract or experimental in his final phase of his career.
Right. Yeah.
Because after Megalopolis,
you have to have enough Academy Awards. You're just like, whatever.
I guess. But I don't know. It's just a weird final run for him.
Mm-hmm. It is. So another theme that I kind of, this like guilt, like in this one, the main guy's dealing with it, but I feel like we've seen that theme as well multiple times where like, Tetra is another one, like guilt, like he changed his name. He felt guilty about leaving his brother / son behind. Right. But like, and it's like, is this how he feels about his life? Did he give so much to cinema that he feels guilty about like not connecting with his family, that he kind of feels like I don't know. I'm just like speculating, but like, it seems like a theme, and he has it again in this, where the guy is guilty about, not spending the time with his daughter and then she dies. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that being a parallel to his actual life because we've mentioned before, he's covered a lot of stuff in a lot of his films with relationships in general.
Yeah.
And especially with family. Even last week's was brothers specifically and their father.
Yep.
But a lot of, I mean, Godfather is all like very large family.
Family.
But, yeah. Exactly.
Family.
But then there's like, I don't know, even the older ones, like before all that, like the Rain People. And yeah, he's covered a lot, I guess. And I mean, it's got to be. I think you're right. There's got to be, even if he didn't mean for it to be that way, there's got to be some of your real life,
especially if you're writing
experiences.
Like he's writing all
through.
These, not just directing them.
Yes.
And so
naturally, some of that's going to have to come through in the writing of your own experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then like another, and then another theme, like just a frustrated artist.
Yes.
Again, that's another common theme that we have in this film that have been in many of the previous films, including Tetro. I mean, like he was a writer, artist, like, but there's been some others that are other types of artists, but I find that's a common theme. And again, I'm sure that he can resonate. He obviously resonates with that because then if you're the last 4 or 5 films, he self-funds and he makes these like weird things.
Yes.
He's feeling like he wasn't able to do what he wanted to do, and so he's doing what he wants to do in this. Now, whether he's happy with the end results, that's a different issue. But he has the freedom, like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. And because I know we were talking about, well, no, I mean, I guess with Tetro also, I was going to say with Youth Without Youth, the kind of artsy type film. Although that one's more was just like pretentious, but it's like this is another thing, and this didn't feel pretentious, but it felt like
but it still felt like it was trying too hard.
Yeah, but like in a very different way. Yes, in a very different way.
Yes.
Yeah. It is funny that just another thing we keep talking about, just things that Coppola goes back to so much, besides like certain time periods, which this film doesn't have that, but the narration again with this is just
he likes it.
He does.
He likes it.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I thought was like another. And I guess I'm bringing this up because it seems like a lot of these themes, this film has them all.
Yeah.
Even though the film itself is not good. Just that blurred line between real and some kind of fantasy or alternate thing, right? Like I feel like he's done that several times as well.
That was heavily in Youth Without Youth.
Yep.
Even recently, yeah.
Yep. But even going back to what was the one in the Las Vegas one? I forget the name of that one. Like felt like that
One from the Heart. Yeah.
Yeah, one from like that kind of had like a mix of.
Yes, it did.
Like, just like someone dreaming or, thinking of something else, and like just of course, Rumblefish is another good example of like.
Oh yeah, because that one he's like floating in. Yeah, in that one scene. That's right. Yeah.
So I just there's like all these strong themes that he's brought through in some of the different films over the decades, and this one has them all.
But how often does like some of those things get executed well in his films? It seems very hit or miss.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
All through his filmography.
Yeah.
When he has tried these type of elements.
Yeah. And I also find it interesting, all the actors he ends up getting to work with. Like he always works with some big names.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of times they already are by the time he works with them. I mean, they're not like nobodies, and then he, makes them. Some he did early on, but like, and so it's like these people are, I guess signing on to work with them because they know, some are misses, but then when he actually hits,
Yeah.
They're kind of can be masterpieces.
I imagine from Godfather, though, after that, everyone would just wanted to work with him anyway.
Yeah.
So like just on that alone, even if that was back in the 70s, even at this point now in 2010, I guess was probably when this was filmed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just off of the pedigree of Godfather alone, people still want to work with him, I imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's like, yeah, it's if you, I guess you're just gambling if you want to work with him because you're like, well, this could be a hit or a miss. You never know. Yeah. The
good old Tom Watts hanging in there.
Tom Waits.
Why do I always say Watts?
I don't know. Maybe it autocorrects to that because in your phone, because it's, Tom Waits. I mean, I just know him as the musician, but then like he's been in so much Coppola stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He was even in, speaking of Coens, he was also in at least one of those as well.
Yeah.
So like I didn't realize he was this much of an actor as well.
Right.
I wanted to ask you though, what is the plot of this film? Because I was confused pretty much the whole time. Besides just the surface level, you know, writer, which actually my other note, which is just funny because it's is it the sheriff or I don't know, someone talks to Hal and he says he's best known as the bargain basement Stephen King.
Yeah.
Which is like, it does seem that way from
Hal Baltimore.
What a name.
I thought it was interesting. His last name is Baltimore, and then they had Edgar Allan Poe in here.
Yeah.
Which is also, he's from Baltimore.
Yeah.
Those of you that are not from our area and might not know that.
Yes.
So the plot, I mean,
so
more than what I read in the synopsis. I mean, like,
yes.
I don't know.
Maybe there isn't a deeper.
I mean, I'm sure he's trying to, but like,
yeah.
I mean, you have a writer that's not the struggling. I mean, kind of like, I mean, this is what the real, I think, question is more about the ending, right?
Yeah.
Like the ending. Do you think he came to a conclusion where he is going to like change and be better? Do you think it's all been a dream and he's not even like, it didn't really happen? Like,
it's kind of hard to say by the end. Like,
right. It's kind of left open-ended on that stuff.
There's not really any answers to any of that.
Yeah. Any of the questions they pose.
And it kind of seems like him, our main character even, is just exactly where he was
right
at the start of the movie.
Right.
At the end.
Yeah. But I mean, plot-wise, like it's, you know, he shows up and then he gets wrapped up in this murder mystery that's been around the town. Like
yeah.
But then he kind of gets revelations about it through these dreams that happen when he passes out, whether it's sleeping or getting hit over the head or falling.
That's the funniest thing is like, I guess they had to like just figure out, like you mentioned, just how many times it happens. It's like they just got to keep coming up with ways when they're either writing this film or even maybe as they're filming, they're like, all right, how's it going to happen this time? It's so weird.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit of the cinematography. Do you have any more stuff, notes?
I have just a couple just really random things.
Yeah.
The 2010 Skype video interface is very specific. I remember that very specifically, and it just
in the little tone.
Back. Yes.
It was like Skype, and I was like, oh yeah, Skype.
Mm-hmm. But like even the way like it was that, because only for a very small window, like it had that type of interface because we see it when he's talking to his wife. And I just remember that.
Ex-wife, right?
Right, ex-wife. Yeah. Yeah, so that was just a little mini throwback for me. That was funny. And then the scene in the hotel where the guy is telling Hal about daylight savings time. And he claims that Hitler came up with it, which I just thought was wild that he said that. I don't know if that's true, but it was just funny that was out of nowhere.
Was funny. And why are we still doing daylight savings time? Let's just
Well, yeah, that's another whole thing.
Just get rid of it.
I thought they did. They've been talking about it, but
Oh yeah, they've been talking about it. Every year it comes up.
nothing happens though.
No one has the guts to do it.
I did like you mentioned Edgar Allan Poe. That was like probably with one of the small things in this that I thought was cool. Just the fact that he was in this.
Yeah.
And whoever the actor was that played him, I'm like, yeah, this looks like him. You know, like, so that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I like when he does show up, you know, it's like him and Hal having these philosophical conversations.
Right. Yep.
Which that's probably like, if there are any highlights of this movie, I think those were probably the ones that I probably enjoyed the most. But yeah. And it is cool you mentioning like the Baltimore connection with.
Yeah.
I that's just cool. Yeah.
I was like, okay, we got.
Yeah.
Is that why they gave him the last name? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Cool. So just, we talked some about cinematography, mostly how we didn't like it.
Yeah.
We'll say, I mean, like, so we do have like this higher contrast, nor lighting in the like fantasy realm, like, right. Like what she's done before too. And it's kind of like a thing I think that, Coppola likes, because he's definitely pushed that multiple.
This seems like he like cranked it up this time though.
Yeah. Well, I did want to note, like, as bad as I overall didn't think, again, the way the lensing, I don't know. I guess they shot with that. It could just be even they shot with the aperture, like really close, because like everything's in focus a lot of times.
Okay.
Right. Instead of like have some in that shallower depth of field. Again, it could be lens choice. That's why I was trying to find the lenses they were using. But one of the things I noticed is they did go back and forth from like the town, like when it was in town and not in the dreams. Like it's like it was like a lot of all the interiors they used like artificial lighting. It was like a lot of like fluorescent lights and stuff like that. And then when it was in the dream and things, it was much more, supposed to feel more natural, even though it was dark and dim.
Okay. Is it, because I think it was mainly in the dreams. It might have been some other times too, but I really was curious about this. There were several scenes which had like, that I've seen in a lot of TV shows and movies before. Was it higher frame rate? Do you know what effect I'm talking about? There were certain scenes.
Describe what you're talking about, or how it worked.
Because I'm just guessing that's what it is, because I don't know. It's like the way people move in certain scenes. It looked like they were almost going faster, but they weren't. And I didn't know if you even noticed that, or if it
could be
actually is a higher frame rate.
Could be a higher frame rate. It could be something with like a shutter speed instead of the frame rate, just like a higher, so you don't have motion blur.
Oh, that might be it.
Because you tend to go on the shutter speed, like, well, depending on your camera, some of them have a rolling shutter, but you basically tend to, if you're shooting at 24 frames a second, you want your shutter speed at like 50, so it's double. Okay. And that way it's not too sharp, but then you should get a little bit of motion blur. If you go too low, you start to get a lot of motion blur. You go too high, then you get no motion blur. And so motion blur so lack of motion blur looks very like sports. Like they shoot sports at a higher shutter speed so that like you don't get because they're moving fast and stuff.
Okay. But that's like the auto smoothing thing that I can't stand.
That's different.
Okay.
That's different.
Okay. Because that's I've noticed that on sports, and obviously like a lot of people call it the soap opera look because it's like that. But what's it actually called? Is it called smoothing?
I mean, that varies because that's like a built-in stuff in TV. So everyone calls
which is a whole nother topic we could have a whole podcast about. That's crazy that that's the default on most TVs when you buy them. Also crazy, I know several people that just can't tell when that's on.
Right. Yeah.
Which I cannot believe. So, yeah.
So the other thing that I think was, and this was, I think, is a good choice to do this for distinction, but it also, you lose it because everything else doesn't look as good. Shooting everything in reality was shot handheld.
Okay.
Like not a shaky camera, but a handheld. Whereas like everything in the dream sequence were, I guess, probably dollies. Like it was like definitely like smooth movement of some types.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
To make the distinction more different. Yeah.
Made him feel different from that. It's, I always like, doing things like that. It's always nice. Adds to the effect.
Yeah.
Cool. That's all I got for cinematography.
Yeah.
So what do you got for music? Anything?
Not really. It was mostly very minimal anyway. There wasn't a whole lot. But what was there, it was mainly more atmospheric, which worked for the film. I mean, I like this guy, what he's done so far. Mm-hmm. He's been more on the experimental side, like I've mentioned, but there wasn't a whole lot in this. It was pretty minimal. So, but yeah, it was cool though. But not really much to talk about.
Cool. So themes and messages.
Well, you kind of already...
I know I talked a lot about this, but like, so what do you think the overall thing that stood out to you?
I didn't write anything down for this.
Okay.
But I guess I don't really know. Besides, I guess, the kind of what you already mentioned about the creative struggle, I guess.
Okay.
From the, I mean, it doesn't have to be from the writer's side. It can be from any creative field, but the book, what was the name of the book he's trying to write? I don't remember. But it's like he's pivoting, right? It's like he's going to something
different,
right, than what he's known for.
Correct.
The
writing about witches.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say he's like the Sheen or Wish version of Stephen King.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Bargain basement.
I know. I like saying
that's the term they use. But.
Yeah, but if you want to say nowadays, it'd be the Wish version, Wish.com version of it. The Temu version.
Yeah.
Shout out to Temu though. Actually, I've gotten some cool stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean, I put down just struggling with regret as a powerful motivation.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of like, I feel like that was the strongest theme for this, or our main character. Like he was dealing with that.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at a little trivia. It says, director Francis Ford Coppola had originally intended the film as a type of live editing experiment using groundbreaking digital editing technology. Coppola intended to act as a sort of conductor during every screening of the film, lengthening or shortening scenes and even changing plot elements depending on the audience's response. This caused long delays in the film's release and ultimately proved impractical, forcing Coppola to do a locked edit of the film, integrating elements from all various permutations of the story. Okay, so that's...
What does he mean by that? It said live editing?
Meaning like as you're watching it, how the crowd's responding, he was extending clips or shortening. I don't know. I would have to...
Oh, so like from the, what do they call that? The test screenings?
Or just screenings in general, I guess.
That's weird.
I don't know.
Huh. I'm curious if he like how much he cut this film down though in general. Like if he filmed a ton like he normally does and then brought it down to an hour and a half.
Says the movie was inspired by a dream Coppola had one night.
Okay.
Val Kilmer's character, Hal Baltimore, is in a bitter marriage to Denise, played by Kilmer's former spouse, Joanne Whalley. So
That's
they were
weird.
married for Marlo. Oh, this was Baltimore does an impression of Marlon Brando when he is thinking of ways of how to open his novel. Baltimore, while doing an impression of Brando, says the fog on the lake was like a straight edge of the razor.
I don't remember him doing a Brando impression.
This is similar to a line he says in Apocalypse Now.
Oh, okay.
The end credit song Nosferatu is performed by uncredited Coppola and Val Kilmer themselves.
Yeah, that was I didn't even make a note about that, but that was a very weird song for the end credits.
Oh, here we go. According to Val Kilmer's autobiography, this film was Coppola's attempt to deal with personal guilt over the tragic death of his son, who had died in a boating accident.
Okay. There you
go. Yeah.
I know we talked about that whatever film it was that happened right around the time of him filming. I think it was late 80s. I think it was around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there going to be anything about the name of the movie?
That's right. I just saw it.
All right.
I just saw
there
that.
we go.
The word Twixt is shortened for betwixt, which is an archaic term for between. This is a reference to the main character's situation between dream and reality.
Okay.
And then there says the original film's title was supposed to be Twixt Now and Sunrise. It's weird.
Yeah, definitely better just Twixt. Well, at least we know how to pronounce it if it's betwixt, because I definitely have heard
Twixt. Yeah. Betwixt.
that word before.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much. There's not too much more there.
It's just such a strange film in
Yeah.
general, in almost like every way. I
would not recommend watching this one.
No, not even. It's less than an hour and a half long, but it's still
No.
Man. I don't know why. I'm actually curious. Well, I know you're going to mention our next movie is Megalopolis, but like, I'm curious how it's going to be in that, because it's got to fall on the director for directing these actors a certain way to make them act so strangely.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
That I wonder, because Megalopolis, I mean, is like star-studded cast. Like, it's crazy who else in that. And I'm curious what the direction's going to be for that. I don't know. But that's also another big break. That's what? Another 10 years.
Yeah, just about, or roughly.
Maybe a little longer, actually.
I mean, it depends when you filmed it and stuff. Yeah, because it just came out last year in the theater, right?
I think it had been finished for a while, though. Okay. I don't know when he
was
filmed
trying to get distribution or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so...
Or editing for like years.
Yeah. So yeah, you might have... But yeah, it's more than 10 years from the release dates.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, so that's... Any final thoughts on this? Don't watch this film.
Don't watch it.
But if you disagree, let us know. Give us... Send some feedback. You can email us at feedback@screentimepod.com. Our next movie is Megalopolis, the final film.
Yes.
For now. I mean, maybe he'll make another, but he says he won't. I think he said this is the last one. He's like probably in his 80s at this point. Right?
I think he's done. I don't think he's gonna. We want to wait till then to announce our next director when we do that pod.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Right. Keep it.
But if you have suggestions,
yes,
for a director you'd like to hear us cover, let us know. But yeah, otherwise, we appreciate you guys watching or listening. You can follow us and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram,
Yep.
Facebook, TikTok,
Yes.
Twixt. It's going to be the new social media platform.
It does sound like a
It does
social
sound-
media. Yeah.
And if you like, you can follow each of us on Instagram. I'm at Jay Youngbar.
And I'm at Jared Youngbar.
All right. Catch you guys next time.